Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome, friends. It's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. It's episode 315, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. And on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zachy Hassan, and I want to wish everybody a happy Superman Day to all who celebrate. Brian?
Yes, sir.
How has Superman affected your life today?
Today?
Yeah.
Well, frankly, I've always enjoyed Superman, but I associate him honestly with you, mainly.
Most people do.
Yeah, in the past several years. So it's something that I really enjoy the character and I enjoy the films. I don't revisit them as much as I do, like Batman and some other things. But like, I have a real fondness for Superman, and I'm always rooting for Superman in his movies because like I said, he makes me think of you, and I want you to be happy.
We'll see what happens in the next couple of months. Yeah, I don't know how this was determined to be Superman Day.
I was just going to ask. Yeah. Was this April 18th?
April 18th, in honor of Action Comics' first issue on April 18th, 1938.
Got it.
Look at that. Makes sense.
Yep.
I don't know if you had a chance to see this. They released a little behind the scenes featurette just about the new film where James Gunn and all the various other folks talking about why they embrace Superman as their Lord and Savior. I found it quite moving.
And then we're like, and also a happy Good Friday. So we're going to begin by talking about. Wait, so is there canonically some sort of like dessert or food or something that like Superman likes or Clark Kent likes where it's like, oh, well, today I'll go have like a brownie sundae? Because
there is. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's like oh gosh, what is it? It's like a beef something or other.
Stroganoff?
Beef bourguignon. Is that how it's pronounced?
I don't know.
Bourguignon.
Beef bourguignon?
Bourguignon.
Okay, I'm seeing the first thing that comes up is a Julia Child recipe.
That's right. So that is Superman's favorite dish.
Oh, I can see it. Kind of like a stew looking. Okay, it looks good.
Yep. Superman, when in doubt, just kill a cow for Superman.
He goes out with his laser eyes.
Yeah. Just if you want to pay homage to Superman, just murder a cow on his behalf.
Oh man, that's funny.
But yeah, so hey, that movie is coming in a couple months. I am excited because now the hype train is starting to roll out. We're seeing the toys are starting to show up in the like the pre-listings and stuff.
Oh, that's exciting. And by the way, I actually was going to bring this up because I thought this was a random fact. But speaking of murdering animals, for
boy, if I had a nickel for every time Brian starts a conversation that way, boy, I'll tell you.
Well, no, I saw this thing on Reddit and I thought it was so interesting. I screen grabbed it and I was going to bring it up. But I'm now reading the headline. It says, "Today I learned Chilean sea bass was nearly fished into extinction after its appearance in the lunch scene in Jurassic Park." So after that movie came out, it elevated, I guess, Chilean sea bass, and then it was so sought after that it was nearly fished into extinction. But here's a fun fact. This is the top comment. I have to give them credit. It says, "The Chilean sea bass is neither a bass nor Chilean. They just named it that to sound fancy because no one was buying it. It's actually called the Patagonian toot fish. It's very ugly, and it's why you only ever see it filleted."
So all of that is true. Everything you just said is true.
I Googled it. I've found this from other sources as well. Yeah, this is, I mean, you could, it's like you have to look at evidence and put it all together for the Jurassic Park timeline of it all, I'm sure, but it tracks.
Wow.
And that is kind of interesting that it's neither Chilean or a sea bass, because it does sound, I've seen it on menus since. And in my mind, I'm like, ooh, Chilean sea bass? This is some fancy establishment. But I just thought, little extra wrinkle for your brain.
I was going to say that we should spare no expense to use DNA technology to make sure it doesn't go extinct. But now that I find out it's been lying about its identity,
that's right.
F that sea bass.
Right.
F that ugly ass fish.
It does look tasty in that scene. I will give it that.
Well, they did spare no expense. So
that's true.
What else? What else is going on?
Well, I have to bring this up. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, the video game, just was released this week on PlayStation 5.
Oh, it's out. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
I did. Yeah. So it's it came out, I want to say in December or something on Xbox.
That's right.
And I know you and I have been patiently waiting for it to be on the platform that we own. And that's my plans this weekend. Like I have, like an Easter lunch and everything, and then everything else is just plopping on the couch and diving into that game. And I can't wait. I'm really excited. So
I had no idea it was out, but I'm ordering it as we speak.
Yeah. Oh, great. I came out yesterday. I downloaded it immediately.
So when it comes to video games, would you, or for PS5 games, do you think it's better to have the physical media or to just get the digital download?
All right. I'm laughing because my mom and I just had a conversation this week about how we take forever to make decisions. And literally yesterday, I was going back and forth over and over and doing all these Google deep dives about, like, I don't know, future proofing is exactly it, but like, what's the best long-term method of buying a video game? Because if disk drives eventually are, phased out in the PS6 or something, well, then I have this hard disk and I'll probably have to buy some sort of extension disk drive or something, which would be annoying. So I wanted to know, if you buy a digital copy, does that mean no matter how far you move forward, as long as you have your PlayStation account, you own it? Right. But then, of course, if something happens with licensing, then it just disappears and you don't own it. So it really is this debate online and people have different opinions. I'll tell you, I chose digital and it's the first digital game I've ever bought. And the reason was I got really sidetracked with Spider-Man 2 and I've gotten back into it recently, and it's in the disk drive. And like I'm going to sound like a complete a-hole. It just is the way it is. Yeah, it annoys me having to walk over there and put the disc in the thing. But who cares? Whatever, it's in there. But I thought, okay, I don't want to take Spider-Man out and then put Indiana Jones back in, and take Indiana Jones out and put Spider-Man. So if I get the digital Indiana Jones, which, apparently best case scenario, I'll be able to pull down from my digital locker for years to come, I can keep Spider-Man disc in the console, and then I can switch over to Indiana Jones digital game and coexist between those two games, easily. And so
I admire how much you've thought. I
was going to say, I mean, I hope maybe it's proof that I'm not lying. I gave this a lot of thought.
Do you have like drawings on a whiteboard and
like that Charlie Day, Always Sunny meme? Yeah. But that's what I ultimately went with. And it was also kind of an experiment. Like, all right, well, I haven't done this, so let's just see what it's like.
Future proof. You gotta,
I guess. I mean, what are you going to do?
Now I don't know. I was about to order the disc, but suddenly I'm questioning everything. I'm wondering what happens. What if aliens invade and set off an EMP pulse, rendering all of our technology obsolete, and we're in kind of a Battlefield Earth-esque scenario? What if I want to play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? Then
that's what I'm saying.
How do I proof against that?
All I'm saying is don't rule out that scenario to all the people out there who are like digital diehards. So.
Yeah. I do hear that a lot. And serious, like people state this seriously. I buy my stuff digitally. Oh, well, I buy physical. Oh, okay. Well, what are you going to do? This is from the physical media people. What are you going to do if the internet goes out and all the technology stops working? And I'm like, It is. I mean, it is still technology. That like, how do you think you're going to play the disc?
Right.
Right? Do you think you're going to spin it on your finger? Like, we should all plan for the potentiality of none of this working anymore at all.
I think that makes complete sense. I will say, for me, it was about convenience and also possible future proofing, where it feels like we're on the cusp now, like the last days of hard disk drives, right?
Man, that's depressing, you saying that.
Yeah, but I was very close to getting the disc because I also thought, well, if I want to loan it to my brother or something, when I'm done. And then, another case people make is for resale if you want to do that. But
yeah, you can at least make some of your money back.
Yeah. I didn't think that all this time I wasted internally in my brain going over these things would be content for today's episode.
Who'd have thunk, right? Sometimes we just go down these avenues.
Yeah. But I can't wait to play. I mean, it opens, people who've already played already know this, but it opens, usually a game has to teach you the mechanics. So they'll put you through sort of a generic scenario where you get to figure out how to draw your gun or how to duck or how to whatever. And the version of that in this game is playing through the opening of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Wow.
Which is freaking awesome.
Interesting. Okay.
This is the game we've been it made me think of that Raiders Atari game where it's literally just like 5 cubes, going from left to right on a screen. And you're like, this is the game we've been waiting for,
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that. Like we're finally at a point where these licensed video games can reflect somewhat of the experience that we would have liked to have had.
Yeah, and also give us new stories and universes we love. I mean, this may be the best way to tell another Indiana Jones story at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
From what I understand from reviews, people think it does sit comfortably beside their favorite film. So,
okay, well, to be continued then.
Yeah. I look forward to talking about it as we go through it.
Well, what else you got?
Saw a couple things here. I'll just say real quick. I saw the movie Drop.
Okay.
Which came out, I think, last week, and
it dropped at the box office.
Yeah. Which
which is terrible. Obviously, we don't wish.
No. It's a perfectly fine, like, real-time thriller. The plot, for people who don't know, it's basically this a widow goes on a first date.
Okay.
And so she's getting back out there. She has a young son at home. This is kind of a high stakes emotionally thing for her. And then in the middle of her dinner, she starts getting these airdrops. Basically, I mean, this is in the trailer, but basically saying she needs to accomplish these tasks and eventually kill her date. Or they will hurt her son. And so, and you can't tell the guy, so she's having to carry out all, it's like Phone Booth or one of those movies where it takes place in one location. And there's a lot of like weird things she has to do. And she has to be awkward in front of people just to get this stuff done. And it's by Christopher Landon. That was the big selling point for me because I really love the Happy Death Day movies.
Death Day. That's right. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of those. Those are really fun, inventive, original, like horror comedies. And he was supposed to do the next Scream film, and then that all kind of fell apart. So he was the main draw for me, honestly. And I would say it's totally fun and does the trick, but will probably fade from your memory the second it ends, which is not the worst thing, especially for a movie like this. Like, this is just a 90-minute diversion, and I don't think it like raises the bar in this genre necessarily, but it is fun and uncomfortable. And you're like, what will she do? And who can you trust? And my friend and I watched it. We both were like, hey, that was fun. We talked about it for about 5 minutes and then we moved on. So, okay. I think it's not even, a bad thing. That's just what this is. This movie does the trick. And something else that was kind of interesting, I wanted to bring up was this is the first movie I've seen in a really long time where the theater was full.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, the box office didn't reflect that, but my theater was full. Like, I was right next to somebody and people were laughing and, together. And I was like, man, I forgot how fun this is.
Were they throwing popcorn at the screen and
with live chickens, in their hands? No,
none of that.
Yeah, I missed out on that one. But no, it becomes sort of this cliche talking point about trying to save the theaters. Well, not cliche, but it's just sort of like there's nothing like the magic of the lights dimming and being in a room full of strangers and participating in something.
Preach on, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, but you know what? There really is something to that. There's a real energy, and it adds something to the experience, and it was kind of fun doing that. But
what theater was it? Was it like a what do you call it, Alamo Drafthouse type thing? Or?
No, it was the Regal. I always go to the Regal.
Okay, just like a regular. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting because it kind of, it's sort of, remember when Steven Spielberg and George Lucas predicted the fate of movie theaters about 10, 15 years ago? And they are absolutely correct, where they said it's going to become less of a, you go see everything and more of the bigger budgeted, like blockbustery movies. Like that's going to be it. Those are the only things that people are going to show up for. And it's going to be a tricky time. And that's kind of what I'm seeing happen. I mean, I'll go some nights to go see something and there's nobody. And then, I'll go another night and then it's packed and there's a huge line for the concessions. And you just kind of can't predict it in a way. And I don't know. And my theater, it's the Regal in Sherman Oaks, and it's remodeling.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm cool with that. But also like, don't overextend yourself. If I don't want you to go away, so just whatever's the best use of your money, I'm happy. I'm just happy you're here. So we'll see. But I'm curious, actually. I mean, we can, just so I don't forget later, but with your screening of Sinners, was that crowded or?
Well, I went in the afternoon, like 3. So I guess for that time of day, it was medium crowd, I would say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm definitely like, if it's an option between a massively crowded screening and just something a little smaller, I'm reaching that point where I'm like, I just don't want a bunch of people around me.
It's so funny. I mean, I've gotten that way too, sort of.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was, for Sinners, I was shoulder to shoulder with somebody. And there was a little bit of like, oh, this is uncomfortable. And then I thought, what are you talking about? Like, that's how most movies have been your whole life.
Right.
But it's just, I don't know. Maybe either getting older or the world's changed a little bit, or
little bit of both, probably.
Yeah. But I saw 2 other things I want to talk about real quick. This was sort of unexpected. Our mutual friend Bushra reached out to me one night and was like, hey, I'm going to see this movie called The Ballad of Wallace Island. Like, are you interested? And I knew nothing about this movie, but it was playing at Regal. I have the Regal Unlimited. I've already paid for it, right? Like, I'm more willing to experiment. And so I was like, sure. And I really, really like this movie.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so basically, I'm looking at the IMDb summary. It says an eccentric lottery winner who lives alone on a remote island tries to make his fantasies come true by getting his favorite musicians to perform at his home. So this is just a sweet, gentle little comedy. Okay. And you have this goofy guy. He's got all this money, and he has there's like, it reminded me a little bit of A Mighty Wind, with the Eugene Levy character and Catherine O'Hara, where it's like they used to be a duo, but they've had their complications and separated. And this guy, it would mean a lot to him if they would reunite and play a concert for him. So the movie begins with the guy showing up first, and he doesn't know what he's walking into, which is basically, this is not a concert for 1,000 people. This is pretty much a concert for one, which is very uncomfortable. But he needs the money. And he also has to reunite with his musician partner, played by Carey Mulligan, who they obviously had some sort of complication in the past between one another. And this is just, it's like 90 minutes. It's so charming and sweet and delightful. And I laughed a lot. I actually thought when it was over, it feels like the movie Once meets What About Bob meets Lost in Translation.
Wow.
Which is quite a comp. But I just left in like the greatest mood. And I texted my parents. I was like, you guys got to watch this. This is just a nice feel good movie. I think if that sounds interesting to people, like just something like a really cozy film about, people and learning the value of relationships with one another, and even people you don't expect to find some sort of relationship with. It's just sweet. And, music is at the heart of it, and the power of music. And of course there's more going on than seems on the surface with all these people, and just great. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you just wish. I'll get into this with Sinners, like this variety at the multiplex. You know what I mean? Like, I want Captain America in one thing. I want Ballad of Wallace Island in the other. I want Sinners in the other one. Like, this kind of reminds me of that exciting time when we were growing up, when you would get these sort of, all these flavors, and I think this sweet comedy is just a flavor I really, really enjoyed right now, because I haven't seen anything like it in a while.
I want them all in one cinematic universe where they fight Thanos.
that's what. If these were all released by like Sony or whatever Disney, that is probably now in 2025 what would happen. These folk singers would be using their guitars, and like banging on them. But yeah, I really glad I checked this out, and I definitely recommend it for people that are in the mood for something like this.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you and Amina would like it.
Yeah.
Just a sweet, easy Friday night. Lastly, I'll just bring up, I can't say much about it because it's just started, but I am back watching The Last of Us. Last of Us season 2 just started again on HBO this past weekend. And do you watch Last of Us? Sorry, I can't remember.
I watched the first season.
Okay. And had not played the game, right?
I have not played the game.
Okay, so I played the game, over 10 years ago, and loved the game. It was a real part of the reason why I got back into video games in that moment. And just seeing how narrative driven and dramatic and emotional video games had become. I just got sucked into that world. And so I really enjoyed first season of Last of Us, but I also wondered, I remembered all of it from the game. And so I was wondering how much I was just enjoying seeing the thing that I remembered. Like, does it stand up on its own as a TV series? If you're not bringing that with it. And so with season 2, I have not played The Last of Us Part 2. So I'm going into this kind of curious then if it will hold up for me strictly as a show. And so far so good. It's been interesting. I know the spoilers of Part 2. And I guess I should say the reason I didn't play it after loving Part 1 so much is Part 2 I had heard was very, very relentlessly dark and violent. And I just wasn't in the mood for that at the time. And people have still told me I need to get back to it, and it's really good and worth it. And I may at some point. I know this season I think is going to be not the entirety of Part 2, but probably split. Part 2 split up over maybe 2 or even 3 seasons. So maybe I'll get into this, and then when it's done, I'll queue it up and be prepared for the rest of it. But yeah, I enjoyed going back. I enjoy seeing these characters. I know hard things are ahead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
right.
Yeah, it's very well done. And I think it does a good job of, just with this episode, like I said, not having played the game, narratively, dramatically, I think it's really well done and resonant. But there's also moments, where the character Ellie like falls through a floor in an abandoned grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
That's really exciting and tension filled, but does remind me like of the game, right? Like this feels like the game, wandering the aisles, something skittering over there. What is that? Making sure you have your weapon on hand. So it's kind of the perfect video game adaptation, honestly.
That's what you're saying right now.
That's what I'm saying right now. Did you watch it?
Only the first season. I haven't seen the second season.
Okay. Yeah.
So. I'll probably just wait till it's done and then just do it all.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mentioned before about the Pit. Speaking of Max series,
yes,
and that the season is done. It has been renewed for a second season.
That's great.
Yeah. So and it's been nice to see such a generally positive response to a relatively traditional show.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I makes me uncomfortable a little bit is the continuing sense that like the Michael Crichton estate kind of got hosed a little bit here, insofar as this apparently began life as an ER reboot, and
sure,
if I guess there's a lawsuit ongoing, we'll see what happens. So it's like, ugh.
Right.
Like that's not right, but the show itself is still really good.
Yeah, it feels like when shows become hits these days, everything is so fragmented. I feel like, the people who enjoy this sort of thing are really liking this particular show, or right. And it's rare when something just broadly everybody seems to be watching and enjoying, all different types. People like horror, people like sci-fi, people like whatever. And I feel like this is a show that I'm noticing all different types of people who like different types of things. Like you said, this feels like a throwback, almost like traditional sort of show. And that makes a lot of sense in ways, because I'm noticing almost everybody I know who's kind of into TV is watching this and enjoying it.
Yeah.
So maybe, it's tried and true things tend to work, right? Hospital shows and
well, yeah, and the nice thing, it is long enough to feel like a meal, not so long that you're like, oh God, do I want to commit to 20 some episodes?
Yeah.
15 episodes. I think the show moves very at a brisk pace.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah Wyle, he's knocking it out, man. This guy, like, it's he's been a great actor for decades now.
Right.
But you see his maturity. It's not hard to imagine him as Carter, and seeing the same level of experience this many decades later.
Now, you're willing to say that under oath?
I am not. The whole discovery process is ongoing, and it definitely feels sketchy. Like, I feel like we're one discovery request away from emails between John Wells and Noah Wyle being like, so this is our ER reboot, right? Not anymore. Tee-hee-hee.
Right. I mean, it feels pretty obvious. So I guess the real question is, did they differentiate it enough to sort of...
that's what it's going to come down to, right? Is the Crichton estate had some set of frozen rights about ER. So then you say, okay, here is another show set in an emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
Does that violate their frozen rights?
Right.
So obviously not, right? But it's going to come down to, well, what was the sequence of events that led to this,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's sketch,
Yeah. I think this is going to be my next show, though. And it's funny, like you said with Last of Us, now that it's all finished, I kind of like that I can do it at my pace. If I want to watch 2, if I want to watch 1.
Exactly. 15 all at once.
Yeah, it's 15.
It is 15 episodes. Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because a lot of my shows are ending, like Severance, 1923, whatever. So like I'm watching The Studio, enjoying that, Last of Us. But yeah, I'm ready for one more.
Did you watch the last episode of 1923?
I did. Did we talk about this or no?
We talked about, we didn't talk about the ending. We
maybe just generally. Yeah. What did you think?
I thought it ended well. I liked it.
I think so too. Yeah. I feel like season 2, like I think I said, like it felt like it was spinning its wheels a little bit, because it was like, we need characters to get from A to B. And it felt like every episode was like, what are they going to do to make sure they don't get to B today? And it was starting to feel...
The thought I had is that Timothy Dalton's character has some very specific peccadillos.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of, it felt to me like maybe Taylor Sheridan was telling on himself a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, like, sexual assault isn't just like a feature of this character. Like, it's his plot. Like, literally the entire season, it just keeps going back to him. And it's always about how he's like torturing these like prostitutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not a plot. This is just, yeah.
Right. It feels like one of those things where somebody is like, what? Isn't everybody into this kind of thing? And they're like, no, oh my God, no, like, on the creative end, that all being said, I don't know if we talked about this, but I mean, by the time the show ends, I'm like, Brandon Sklenar.
Yes.
This guy's a star, man.
Dude. Yes. Well, yeah. So just real quick to agree with you, I really like the finale. Like, it almost feels like Yeah, it'd been nice if this had either been 4 episodes or maybe one of those, you end the series with a movie kind of thing. Because I really liked the last episode a lot. I think it built to a head in a great way. I thought all the characters and their decision making made sense and was interesting. But yes, Sklenar, he is in Drop. He's the male lead in that, and
is that right?
Yeah, I brought
how funny
my liking him from 1923 to this, and I thought he did a really good job in that.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to see more of him for sure.
And he's in that Blake Lively movie, right?
Oh,
the one with all the kerfuffle. What the hell's it called?
It Ends With Us, or
that's it. It ends. Is it?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Yeah.
You?
No. At this point, it's like a point of pride now that I haven't seen it.
Well, I did see something where some tweet or whatever post said that Sklenar was bargain Walmart Glenn Powell. And did you see his response?
No, I didn't even see that. I'm just, before you even got to the thing, I figured that's probably who it was in reference to.
Well, and Sklenar was like, well, everybody loves a bargain. Could I like him anymore?
Yeah, right? Perfect response.
Yeah, it's good.
No, that was genuinely like the totality of 1923. It's like, no, this guy, he's got presence,
Yeah,
he's
totally.
going to go places, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen him floated for like Batman. I can't say I quite see that.
Dude, who doesn't get floated for Batman?
I know. He feels a little, I mean, I've mostly seen him in 1923. He feels a little too folksy for me, for Batman, but who knows? But yeah, I like him. Good presence.
He held his own opposite Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Yes.
Doing okay, right?
Someone who's like showing like real, like badass presence opposite Harrison Ford. That's like a good test right there that he passed. Yeah.
I agree. So, hey, we got some listener letters, Brian.
Oh, great. Let's do it.
Mail call!
I believe you have a letter for me.
18,000 letters, all addressed to Santa Claus.
You got mail.
Hey, that was pretty nice.
What was that? That was fun.
Did you do that?
You know what? I did.
I'm impressed.
We've been talking off air about having bumpers for our segments for a very long time, and you've been very patient checking in like, so Brian, those bumpers. And I've been over months looking over music and clips and things, and finally I was so overjoyed to send you these this week, and I don't know, they passed the Zachy test, so hopefully people enjoy them.
I feel like you're overselling. You should have been like, it's just something I threw together. See,
No, I'm going to credit all the sweat that went into it.
Well, thank you for doing that. And thank you, everybody, for writing in. We always appreciate hearing what you have to say. And, I mentioned this before. We've got many of our commentary tracks are up on YouTube. And so we have new audiences discovering those, which is always, it's a treat for me. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And here is a comment we got from Luke's Mail 24 on our commentary track for Jaws 2, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is what he said. He says, great insights into Jaws 2. I've actually read the novelization, and I actually think the movie we got was a bit more stronger. There is a boat race, which comes late in the book, where the shark action finally takes hold, and then Brody goes to work. I think the Scheider performance in the movie is actually quite underrated and a great paranoid performance. What could have been an utter disaster of a movie is better than its reputation suggests. Well, I definitely agree with that. Mm-hmm. But Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge are awful. Although the roar the shark makes is actually the sound effect Battle Cat makes in He-Man, which is really funny. I think that's true. I think.
Wow.
Like in Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah.
There's actually a moment where Michael Caine jokes about the cholesterol levels of the shark in Revenge. Again, just gold. Jaws the Revenge is, it is a biblical disaster.
I've not seen past 2.
I think that's good. That's smart.
Yeah. At some point, we guest every so often on the Is It Jaws podcast.
That's right.
Paul Spataro. And I sometimes he has this really ingenious sort of method where we'll talk about a film and then we rate it. Is it Jaws? Like, is it excellent? Is it Jaws 2? Is it Jaws 3? Or is it Jaws 4? And sometimes I have to like make my best guess of what a Jaws 3 would be because I've not seen Jaws 3. So yeah, at some point, I mean, you just got to do it, I think, right?
I think just to have it as part of your like information Rolodex, in your brain.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think I said this in our commentary track. I was like, if they would have stopped at Jaws 2, we would talk today, 60 years later, 50 years later, 50 years later, sorry, about the excellent Jaws and its pretty good sequel.
Like French Connection 2 or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly. It would be like, Jaws 1 is great, and Jaws 2 ain't bad either. But because you got some 2 shit ass sequels that are friggin' awful.
Yeah.
Jaws 2, which asked nothing of us. All it offered was entertainment and escapism. It got lumped in. It got shuffled off to the kids' table.
Yeah,
with 3 and 4.
That's true, isn't it? Yeah, if there's I want to say there's these DVD or whatever DVD, Blu-ray 4K like sets that come out, and Jaws is always on its own, and then 2, 3, 4 come out in their own little sets. So yeah, you're right. It got shuffled off,
and it is orders of magnitude better than the third one and the fourth one.
Yeah, I mean that comes up a lot in conversation about the Matrix, right? Where people wonder, is Matrix 1 diminished in some ways in memory because of sequels that people didn't like?
Yeah, I would say so, probably.
Yeah, maybe to some degree, yeah.
That's a tough one though, right? Like some movies are like that. Other like I think RoboCop, for example, is still very highly regarded and people just ignore the sequels.
Right.
It's not dragged down by the sequels.
Yeah.
Maybe because with the Matrix, the fact that it's the Wachowskis, it's all the Wachowskis. So you can't make that mental separation of like, well, those other ones they weren't involved with or something like that.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for that. And then here's a comment we got from Matt Ev with regards to our last episode. This was episode 314. He says, another fab listen, Zachy and Brian. Thought you might enjoy this review of Minecraft from my daughter's friend. She said, quote, while I was watching it, I was thinking, I don't even hate this. I just hate that it exists. I hate the world that birthed it.
All right. Okay.
Bear in mind, we say that as I read that, the Minecraft movie has surpassed 300 million at the domestic box office. It's well on its way to $1 billion at the global box office. And we are likely in store for several more Minecraft adjacent movies, in the next days and months.
Well, first things first, I adore that review. So thank you for sending that in. That was chef's kiss. And pretty much all I need to know.
So you have not seen it?
No, it's so funny because I mean, the thing that I know most about it right now is the unruly audiences.
Yeah.
Right. Which I don't love. I mean, it's such I was listening to another podcast and they were debating this. Is it not the worst thing having popcorn on the floor because people are showing up and excited about movies, especially a younger generation, which we're seeing less and less? And I mean, no, I'm never going to be okay with the popcorn on the floor thing. That's just like a-hole behavior.
Decent, right? This is exactly. I was having this discussion with somebody. It's like, people are going, and it's people's job to clean up. I'm like, why don't you just shit on your seat while you're there?
Yeah, well, what if you were throwing a party, you invited people to your house, and they had a great time, but they were taking like soda cans and beer bottles and just spraying it everywhere. But it's like, well, at least they had a good time, and like, well, as I like have to. Clean my couch.
Seriously, like, I'm like, we have lost several threads here, clearly, as a civilization.
Yeah. And by the way, I do want to say in this particular movie, if people want to get up and cheer and scream and whatever lines, go for it. I'm all for that. That's
absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but when you're making a big mess that you are not going to clean up.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Yeah, no, I agree. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, but I do love that there's a movie that a younger generation is excited to go out and see. I don't know if it's any good or not. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, bottom line, you make Five Nights at Freddy's, people showed up. You make Minecraft movie, people showed up. It's like, hey, so here, Hollywood, stop regurgitating shit from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Because some of them windows is closed now.
Yeah. Or going back to what I was saying earlier, like, yeah, do that and do this and do the other thing and make Ballad of Wallace Island and make Drop and make Sinners. Like,
and have them team up and fight Thanos.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, we don't need everything to fit into like 3 categories.
Yeah.
And so
you're screaming into the wind, Brian.
I am literally, I know. And it's hitting me back in the face and then blowing away.
Yeah.
It's like the ashes in the Big Lebowski, but yeah, I don't know. Wait, have your kids seen it?
Yes, they did. Yeah. They were
Oh, you saw it. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yeah. Your soul left your body.
I did. Yeah. I watched. I had an existential crisis while watching this movie, as I was like, is this it? Is this where we're at? Is this what we're doing? Yeah. And it's a shame because I think I said in my review, I liked Jack Black in it. I liked Jason Momoa in it.
Mm-hmm.
I just like, I'm like, we've seen Barbie movie, we've seen Lego movie. It is possible to take these brands and do something special and unique with them. So like,
sure.
why not strive for that? That is upsetting to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would be okay with this just being like a meme movie if there were other options that weren't, right? Like if there were things aimed at this aged audience that were like solid story, character, etc. things.
Yeah.
And this just happens to be the goofy, let's just make memes out of it thing.
Yeah.
But you just hope that this isn't the lesson. So it's like, well, we do have this interesting idea for, targeted at this audience, but let's, this is too much. We're taking too long to get to this thing, or this character is talking too much here. Like, we've got to follow the Minecraft model and just memes. Like, I wouldn't want that to be the lesson people take from this.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say. I question my own reaction, where like, how pissed off can I be about this movie that's clearly not aimed at me, right?
Sure.
So I try to contextualize that as best I can, like, okay, well, this is it. I'm 45. I'm not the target audience for Minecraft, so who cares if I don't like it?
Right.
If people, and then I'm hearing like, oh, it's a great theater experience, but you just leave it in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, what's wrong with that also?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's like we've talked before about Avatar, where that's the big, critique. Oh, but you don't remember the names of, the main characters or whatever. And the response I have now is, well, so what?
Yeah.
Like, the first one came out, it made $1 bajillion. Maybe you didn't think about it in the 15 years between. But then the second one came out and it made $1 bajillion too. In other words, people went, they had a good time. And so what if they're not, wearing, Jake Sully t-shirts or whatever?
I kind of agree with that. I mean, the second movie made me realize that that's what these movies are. These are theater experiences.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And I haven't seen 2 since
the theater. You and I both liked it in the theater.
Yep. And you can bet I'm going to be there for 3, right?
Exactly.
So, and it almost harkens back to an older age, right? Where movies just existed in theaters and everybody's, Gone with the Wind making $1 bajillion. And then it wasn't like it was going to be on TV or whatever that in a year and people could rent it or whatever. It's like you just went to the theater for this experience.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is. It almost feels old school in a way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying Minecraft is Avatar, just to be clear, but if it's giving people a fun theatrical experience and they leave that experience in the theater, who gives a shit? Fine.
Yeah. And by the way, it's hugely profitable.
Yes,
so it's not even like it's some sort of, artistic experiment that's not paying off.
That's right.
It is paying off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Moving on. Hey, we got some headlines.
Extra, extra.
What a scoop!
What? Another one?
Hey, look at this. Look at this guy. You've been busy.
What is that in Phantom Menace? Or this is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
No, do the voice, Brian.
No. I'm just shaking my head quietly now.
Well, thank you, Brian, for creating that bumper as well.
No problem.
So hey, first up, we had a new trailer drop for Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Yeah.
Do you want to play some of the audio from that?
Sure.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed. Our city, our planet, owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four!
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death.
It's my fault. I stretched the bounds of space. And they hurt.
We will face this together. We will fight it together. As a family.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm dying to know what you think of this. Marvel's first family.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited to see. First of all, we got our first look at Mr. Fantastic stretching, and it looks like about what you'd expect, which is why they just kept it like far away from the screen. And like, I don't think there's any good way to depict Mr. Fantastic's powers on screen in live action. Like unless you you do Elastigirl or something on
Sure.
Incredibles, that's one thing, but I just don't think there's a good way to make him look cool.
Well, and in the movie, when you see it over and over and you're living in that reality, it probably plays just fine. But I can see in the trailers where you're only getting one thing to scrutinize for the next couple months, maybe you hold back a little bit.
Yeah. I like the dynamic. I do find it interesting that it feels, speaking of Mr. Fantastic, it feels like they have kept Mr. Fantastic the most under wraps, in terms of dialogue and personality.
What do you mean?
It's just like it seems like the focus is more on the other three, and that's just my sense. I could be wrong just from the trailer.
Yeah, that's I hadn't clocked that, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Like this big focus on Vanessa Kirby.
Which is fine by me.
Totally fine. Absolutely. 100%. Joseph Quinn seems like a great Johnny Storm, and I already like what we saw of the Thing, but I want to see more of Mr. Fantastic. I like Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, you're right. He seems kind of like the observer to everything in this, the people around him, the action around him. That's a good point. I didn't think of it.
But ultimately it's, this is setting up some kind of multiversal shenanigans. We know that this is an alternate Earth. So it's kind of like watching this. I'm sort of going in with the presumption that their world will end.
Yes, because how would they not have been referenced in previous Marvel movies?
Yeah, so they have to somehow end up on OG MCU Earth through the course of, whatever the Avengers movies have planned. And so that, for me, I think it's sort of an elegant way of incorporating the Fantastic Four into the MCU, because it's like this preserves their status as they were the pioneers.
Right.
As opposed to if you do their origin now, when we're like, almost 20 years into this, then it's like, what makes them special?
Sure. Yeah.
But this, it's like, I love the little montage that we see in the trailer, the thank you Fantastic Four thing. Like, they changed the world.
I like that too.
Right?
Yeah.
It's something different, Yeah. I love the aesthetic, the whole future, retro futuristic aesthetic that they've created. I think that's really cool.
100%. I think I don't know a ton about Fantastic Four. I've never read the comics. I've seen the one Fox movie, not the second one. Well, actually, I forgot. I did see the 2015 one. But I just don't know a lot about these guys. But what makes me excited about it is, the different time period, like you said, the aesthetic of it. It just looks different. And I'm still enjoying superhero movies, but at this point, I was thinking about the Thor sequel that had Natalie Portman in it, which wasn't very well received. And I was remembering that I wasn't as hard on it. And I was trying to remember why. And I think, frankly, just because it felt different. Yeah. And I think anything that's different is going to get my attention and make me just inherently kind of enjoy it a little bit more. Yeah. And this feels very different in a way that I'm excited about.
Right.
So Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I mean, hey, look, I'm sure the Marvel folks are hoping that there's more of you, people who are willing to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we actually talked about this, didn't we? Whether or not Captain America Brave New World underperformed or performed.
It's still undecided. I don't think I don't think we have clarity yet on that, right?
I would say that I doubt it performed the way that they saw it on their vision board.
Yes, I agree with that.
And so I think,
but it's not an outright embarrassment.
Not an outright embarrassment, no. And this will be an interesting test. They're trying something that is a little different, feels fresh in an interesting way, and it features characters that people have been long awaiting. So how does this do? I'm very curious.
See, one thing I'll say, and I've been saying this for a while, and I'm probably on an island, but every new trailer we see of Thunderbolts gets me more like, yeah, you know what? I'm ready for this.
I think me too. I was a little cynical about it. Like, I think the sort of snark was putting me off a little bit, where I was like, I've seen this, like, cynical over it. Ragtag people who didn't want to be there, but then they show up and save the day. Like, I mean,
what are we, some kind of Thunderbolts asterisk?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, I know this. And I gotta be honest, I'll just say it, because then either I'll be proven right or wrong. But what's the guy from Harbor?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna
How
did I know?
Not feeling it. Like, it's a very, like, it's just not my flavor.
Honestly, I think it's going to be one of those things where a little goes a long way. So It's like, if they modulate the supply of David Harbour, like, Boris Badnoving it up.
Yes.
It could be amusing.
Then it could work. Totally.
Yeah.
And I like Florence Pugh a lot. And, the thing that always gets me in the trailer too, that I really like, is I don't know his name, but the Captain America.
Oh yeah, John Walker.
Yeah, him looking at the article being like, "Not Captain America, you suck." I'm like, oh, okay. Well, this looks fun. Like, I want to see these people feeling down and out, and then showing up and proving people wrong. Like that, I think I could enjoy.
Well, and I feel like this movie may end up doing that. Because I don't think people are expecting a ton from it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it would be nice to have something a little more organic, where potentially, if it's a decent flick, this is all contingent on that, where people watch it like, no, it's pretty good. And then just kind of a bottom up, word of mouth hit.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're going to feature in the Avengers movies, right? So
at least in Doomsday. Yeah.
Yeah. So it better work.
Well, we'll be talking about it in our next regular show.
Wow. Holy cow.
Coming up fast.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. But hey, this week is Star Wars Celebration, Brian.
Yes, in Japan.
In Japan. So why don't we pipe in some of that music?
Ooh, yes.
So talk to me. What are some of the big Star Wars announcements we got this week?
Well, I feel like the biggest one that I'm seeing everywhere is we have a title for the upcoming Sean Levy movie starring Ryan Gosling, which is Star Wars Starfighter.
Yes.
Right? And that's going to be coming May 28th, 2027.
Yes.
And, I mean, you just say Star Wars Starfighter, the movie.
From the director of Night at the Museum.
Yeah. People are kind of all over the place with him. Maybe
I like Sean Levy, I should say. I think he's very good at the types of movies he makes.
That's what I'm going to say. He kind of reminds me of Chris Columbus in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like, maybe not all of it I connect with, but I think he's a very capable director. And if he's with a thing that I'm inclined to enjoy, it's probably going to be a good version of that. I mean, I don't know if that's like a weird hot take, but
he did a Real Steel, which is, as far as I'm concerned, is a damn fun movie.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I get it. Not everything he does is going to be for everybody, but I don't know. And Deadpool versus Wolverine was a good version of that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, a Starfighter movie I think is interesting for a lot of reasons. One, I kind of want to see Top Gun in space.
Right.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I'm assuming it's going to be about pilots, and I want to see dogfights with X-Wings and TIE fighters and things like that. And also, we know for sure it is not connected to the Rey movie. This is not the Rey movie they were talking about.
That's right.
So I'm curious. Oh, and it's going to happen post the Rise of Skywalker.
It's gonna like in the timeline.
In the timeline. So what does the universe look at that point? Like, who are they fighting? You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about that. Do Jedi factor in? The Force? Does any of that factor in? Is this just a pilot's movie in space? Don't know, but all the ingredients sound enticing to me. What about you?
Well, a couple things. And we talked about this before, right? Ryan Gosling is a big enough star that he does not have to do a movie like this.
Yes, totally.
He does not generally do franchise movies, with the exception of like Blade Runner, and I guess The Fall Guy. We could think of that as one. So that has me interested.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Star Wars premise that got him involved? And I think a lot of people would turn up just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thought I have is you know, this is what is it? 2 years? 2 years from now. Just about, right? Memorial Day of 2027.
Yeah.
So how far along are they in prep? Like, because that means they need to start like right now.
Yeah. You assume they have a script. Well, you assume. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, you know what?
That's cute, Brian.
I had to stop myself. But a concept that enough people agree on, that even Ryan Gosling will step on the stage at Celebration and be like, "Yeah, we're doing this. This will be out in 2 years." There's something happening.
So my question is this thematically or narratively similar to that Patty Jenkins movie that they were developing?
I thought about that, and I was wondering if if we have an ER the Pit situation here where there was a colonel and then they're like, well, what if this instead? I don't know.
Yeah.
Curious.
So that's 2027, and then 2026 Memorial Day weekend is going to be Mandalorian Grogu movie.
Yes, which I don't think they released anything officially, but I did see some like bootleg pictures. It's funny. I kind of fell off from that show.
Dude, I was about to say I cannot muster a ton of enthusiasm for this movie.
I agree, although I will say seeing the images made me be like, well, I do want to see AT-AT walkers. You know what I mean? Like,
I want to see the movie. I'm just like, I was thinking about this earlier this morning where I'm like, am I like chomping at the bit to see Din Djarin on the big screen? Not particularly.
No, you know what? I mean, I think I agree with you. Like I said, I fell off from that show. It had its moments. I really did enjoy a bunch of it from the first 2 seasons. But then I don't know, didn't feel the need to keep going. And maybe most of my enthusiasm is just going back to the Star Wars universe in a movie theater versus I need to see what the Mandalorian or Din Djarin is up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, seeing those images, I was like, oh, neat. And I've said before that I'm not excited about this movie. So like I said, I think the Star Wars of it is certainly enough to make me at least have a little bit on my enthusiasm bar, have it wiggle a bit.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm just happy to get sort of the Star Wars movie pipeline churning again.
Yeah, as long as there's thoughtfulness behind it. I mean, I think that should go without saying, probably. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't want just like, okay, we need a slate. The board members are demanding 3. So
that clearly has not been the case because it's been 6 years already since the last one. So they're clearly taking time to grow some roses.
And probably because they learned lessons the hard way.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So hopefully, yes, lessons learned. Let's move forward with some thoughtfulness. And
well, I mean, and it's like this Rey movie you've been talking about. I mean, there is no new news about that as far as I know.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, it's still going on.
It's still happening, and that's my point. I'm like, do it when it's time, right? Like, I'd rather. I mean, look, here's the reality. The sequel trilogy is a wounded beast.
Yeah.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you did that forever. You had one shot and you squandered that.
Yeah.
For as much as I do not mind the sequels, I want to be very clear about that. But in terms of the perception and in terms of what those movies could have been, it's a lot of missed opportunities.
And I mean, I think it's undeniable. It did a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of Star Wars, I should say, the new season of Andor is about to drop.
Yes.
As we record this, and when we talk about, to me, I'm not going to get into it too much, but all I will say is, having seen all of the second season, I think if you put Andor, into the totality of Andor plus Rogue One, you have the best thing Disney has done with the franchise, in my opinion.
Really?
In my opinion,
Okay. I really enjoyed Andor season 1.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I hate that I've become this way, but it's just, it used to be anything Star Wars, I was there with my shirt on, my Star Wars shirt, first in line, my foam finger.
I was there with my pants off. That's how excited I was.
But now I'm a little like, all right. I need, tell me more. You know what I mean? And that's a big shift for me. So, but I liked Andor season 1 a lot. And with season 2, I was like, of course I'm going to watch it, but what do people think? I'm kind of, tell me more. And hearing that makes me very excited.
Yeah, it's the thought that occurred to me having just watched it yesterday, and I'd be curious to hear your take. I was like, I finally cracked what Andor is, why it works for me. I'm like, it's Star Wars by way of Christopher Nolan. And not only in terms of the narrative approach, but also the stylistic approach.
Interesting.
And what I like about it is that it's clearly, it is of Star Wars. It exists within the universe that we know, but it keeps the fantastical elements really at arm's length. So, it's not about the Sith and the Jedi and people, floating and whatnot. Not that we don't love all of that, but there's nary a lightsaber to be seen.
Right.
And instead, what we really get, what I find so fascinating, is it's a depiction of the mundanity of fascism. Like how the ordinariness of it and how that gets just absorbed into the bloodstream of society. Like how does somebody like Palpatine take over? Because the bureaucracy exists to allow it.
Right.
And that's the genius of this show, in my opinion. And it's why Rogue One worked so well. But the inner workings of how a rebellion begins to grow and all of that stuff,
Right.
I think it's a terrific show. Let me put it this way: there's this great supporting cast of various people, and there's one episode of Andor. Andor is not in it at all, 0. But it's fascinating.
Okay,
because the other characters and plot lines are so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I was talking to my kid this morning. I'm sure you're somewhat aware of what's going on right now with this this prison in El Salvador, and this poor guy who apparently is not part of a gang, but he's been shipped there. And I was reading about this prison, and how like these people are put into these each room has like 100 people in it. That they have cots with no mattresses. It's just hard, and the lights are on 24/7. And I'm like, I was like, that sounds horrific. And literally, I was talking to my son this morning. I was like, remember the prison in the first season of Andor? That's less bad than this real prison.
Right.
Because they get to sleep.
Yep.
I was like, so that's where we're at right now on the spectrum. We're worse than the Empire. But it is fantastic. I truly think that in the years and however long ahead, like people look at Andor is a very special. Andor plus Rogue One is this very special slice of Star Wars that's just unique all to itself.
Like the promise of what we could do with someone owning Star Wars and being able to make television shows. Yeah, that's great.
One thing I will say, my man Jimmy Smits, I guess, was unavailable to reprise his role as Bail Organa. And so they replaced him with a very, very good casting. I would consider this a lateral move with Benjamin Bratt. He's Benjamin Bratt. He's great actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
But my man Jimmy,
Yeah, I wonder why.
Probably unavailable. It's weird because he was in Rogue One, and he was in Obi-Wan Kenobi, so he's not averse to coming back. So I don't know what happened. Kind of a bummer. I don't like seeing the legacy characters, shifted around like that, and it's especially weird because this leads right into Rogue One.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like so pivotal. Like, this is a story that focuses on his business. That's or right. Like the arena of his business. So it'd be nice to see him.
That's the thing, Brian. That's what's so frustrating is like Bail Organa has never gotten more to do than in this.
Right.
And I'm like, this is like all the other stuff was like paving the way for this. You know?
Yeah.
And again, I want to emphasize Benjamin Bratt is great. I love Benjamin Bratt. I had no, but it's Jimmy Smits, man. Come on.
I know. Well, other announcements that I'm seeing so far at this point, we're recording Friday morning, April 18th, 2 animated series. I'm not going to bury the lead. Star Wars Young Jedi Adventures Season 3 announced.
Wow.
And that's coming to Disney Plus this fall. So, and then also Maul, as in Darth Maul, Shadow Lord, an animated series focusing on Darth Maul. Curious about that.
That's all we know. We don't know when it's set or like is it
I'm not
pre-Phantom Menace or like what's the is it his origin?
Yeah, not sure. Sorry. The thing I have in front of me just has the announcement of it.
Okay.
But yeah. I mean, that's like I said, there could be other things, and if there's big announcements, we'll talk about them. But that's what we got so far, I think.
You know what I want, and I've said this before, we're doing more of these animated things. Do an animated series set between the original and the sequel trilogy that gives us new canonical adventures of Han, Luke, and Leia.
Oh, dude. So if of course, goes without saying, if it's good, if they can come up with the best version of that, sign me up.
Right?
Yes.
Like it feels like a no-brainer. I don't know why they're sitting on that. Get Troy Baker to do Han's voice.
Yeah, who he did the voice of Indiana Jones in Great Circle, and he sounds incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's also the James Mangold movie that's in development, right? Is
that was something, I don't have it in front of me, but I did read, and I don't know who said it, if it was Lucasfilm officially, but basically, a lot of those past projects that have been announced that sort of feel like they're like in a limbo or something, those are still on the table.
Okay.
Apparently. So,
okay. Yeah, that was like the Dawn of the Jedi or some such thing.
Very curious. Very curious. That could be interesting.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we've got a brand new release in theaters right now. So, hey, why don't we talk about that on the other side of this?
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
And we are back, and you know who else is back, Brian?
Who's that?
Why it's that Titanic team of Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and Michael B. Jordan. Yes, Sinners is in theaters right now. It seems to have opened pretty strong just based on the Thursday night screening. Seems to be a good start. I'm curious what word of mouth is going to look like. For a while there, it was at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know where it's at now, but
yeah. Who goes first? You go first. I go first.
Well, I'll start with this. I went into this one, so I knew nothing about the movie going in, not one thing.
Okay. You hadn't even seen a trailer.
Didn't watch a single trailer. I was like, Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan. Ryan Coogler is, first of all, he's like instant sale for me no matter what.
Yeah, we've been watching his stuff since Fruitvale Station.
Since Fruitvale, yeah. So I'm like, well, I'm already watching it anyway, so it wasn't even like a conscious choice. I just missed the first trailer, and then I was like, well, whatever, I'm just not going to watch anything. And so I had no idea going into this, anything, not setting, not one thing.
Wow.
Not one thing.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And by the time it ended, I was like, well, I think that's probably one of my favorite movies this year, like by the time the year is up. I mean, it is like, it's a B movie, but it's an A approach to a B movie. Does that make sense?
Okay. not to interrupt, but because I have something so similar to say, I'll just add. Yeah, I went into this I'd seen the trailer, but I wasn't sure what to expect. I was like, is this a horror movie? Is this like a prestige-y movie? Like, I don't even know what I'm getting into. And even watching the movie, like the first hour of the movie, I still wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, because it takes its time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty narratively unconventional.
Yeah.
But by the end of this, I was so on board. And I was trying to think of how to explain it. And I said to my friend, I was like, imagine someone handing over a lost Tales from the Crypt screenplay to a remarkable filmmaker who has loads of vision and ideas.
Yep.
That's what this feels like. And then they're like, let him cook.
Yeah, right.
That's what this movie is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, is it a splattery horror movie? Or is it like sort of like a thoughtful, prestige-y thing? The answer is yes. Yeah, exactly.
Why not both?
Why not both? Okay, so we both loved it.
Oh, yeah. I should say, I didn't even know that Michael B. Jordan plays a dual role.
Right.
So the movie, when we first see the twins, Smoke and Stack.
Yes.
Again, I don't know that Michael B. Jordan is playing twins. So I see the one and I'm like, oh, that's Michael B. Jordan. And then I look over, I'm like, oh, wait, maybe that's Michael B. Jordan. And then I was like, wait, am I racist? Like, I don't
know. Well, I was thinking we could, this is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
No, there are two of them. That was, the effects were seamless as far as when they would interact with each other. It was amazing.
Well, they show it off immediately, right? Where the guy's like wants a cigarette. So the one Michael B. Jordan hands a cigarette to the other one who lights it and who hands the cigarette back and smokes it. And, I was like, all right. This is okay. I'm impressed.
So I did not realize until, again, like a good hour in that, this is like it's like a horror flick.
It's and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but it's kind of from dusk till dawn.
Yes.
Yeah. Where you have 1 hour of story.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, they go, surprise, vampires. I can't even imagine going into this not knowing what it is.
That was honestly the best way to experience it. I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah. Well, because the first half of this movie is very it reminded me kind of like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood hangout vibe. It's like a lot of really patient character introductions. Right?
Yeah.
Like we're learning about these people as they interact with one another and go on errands with one another and stop by and visit people from their past. And, it's very, very patient. Right? But it's all very captivating.
Very, very much so. And what you realize is it's all place setting.
Yes.
Because by the time the movie ends, I was like, oh, sinners, or as I'm going to call it, don't trust the whites. Nothing good comes. because I mean, it really methodically lays out the time period.
Yes.
Michael B. Jordan, man. I mean, this guy, nothing new here. I mean, this guy is just magnetic.
Yeah.
And what's remarkable to me is how he managed to make both of these brothers feel very distinct from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But the other interesting thing, I was thinking about this, I was like, it's also kind of genius that you have Michael B. Jordan playing both of them because you don't know who's going to die or if. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's Michael B. Jordan and other guy as brother.
Right. Oh, good point. Yeah.
Right.
Sure,
You're like, well, probably Michael B. Jordan makes it to the end, but here, like, well, we don't know,
and they're really interesting. I mean, it's like these guys, a lot of it is reputation that we're hearing from other people about who they are and how dangerous they are. And they have a really sort of interesting story with their dad. I mean, we can get into a lot more in spoilers, but it's just, I guess I brought all that up earlier, talking about how it's almost like two halves and very patient. Cause I was watching it thinking about its pace a little bit and I was never bored, but it is unconventional. And I only bring this stuff up because I want people to understand its wavelength when they show up so they can know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
But I just dug it so much for all of those choices.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that with the Minecraft movie, which again, I haven't seen, but maybe a movie that doesn't exercise a ton of patience, I'm imagining, just wants to get to the funny thing, to the funny thing, to the funny thing to make sure it doesn't lose anybody. But we bring up a movie like Die Hard, which takes at least 30 minutes to get to any sort of action. It's all setting up character dynamics so we know who we're dealing with before everything unfolds. And this movie absolutely does that thing,
I think that's absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I sort of thought about as I was watching it, it kind of reminded me of sort of what we talk about, like our personal heyday of movies, like the 90s or a little earlier, where it's like at the end of the year, the top 10 movies of the year would all be these new original things.
Right. Yeah, right.
No sequels, no cinematic universes, no remakes, just new stuff that everybody saw and liked, and it made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, this reminded me of one of those movies that could have come out in the 90s, where it's like it didn't need to be based on anything. It didn't need to be a sequel to anything. It was just, this filmmaker that we know is really good has this original idea and it's coming out. And this is the kind of thing we used to get every Friday,
Right.
And it just, I don't know why, but it made me think of that while I was watching it. Like I was just getting excited by the newness of it.
Yeah, something new. I mean, I think that I think Coogler has built up a rep for making thoughtful blockbusters, franchise films. And I think this is a classic one for them, one for me play.
Yeah, sure.
Because I feel like people are going to turn up because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me excited whenever a filmmaker can become a brand unto themselves.
Yes.
And that's the general sense I get just from talking to my kids, like my students. I mean, they're excited to see this. Oh, it's Ryan Coogler.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, good, man. Like that's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
More of this. Like I don't know how much this cost. I don't think it's that expensive. I would guess around 100, maybe less.
Yeah. No, you're curious.
And I'm like, well, that's what you should spend on something like this because people are going to turn up. People are looking for something. Like I think word of mouth on this is going to be very good. That's my point.
I think so too. Excuse me. Budget was $90 million.
There you go. See, I mean, it looks like they got a bang for their buck. They didn't, spend exorbitantly on it.
Yeah, and it's gorgeously shot on 70 millimeter and using IMAX cameras. And I think that decision completely pays off. I mean, it's beautiful to look at, but it also just adds to the vibe.
Yeah.
The filmic look to it. Yeah. So, I mean, I do want to throw out there, because I know we're sort of gushing over it, but I don't know that it's going to necessarily be for everyone, because this is a really gory horror movie.
Yes. Which I was thinking about that actually, because about maybe 2/3 of the way through, I was thinking like, I should tell Amina to go see this. And then by the end I was like, nope, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny because it's typically not our genre, but right. I think it's just so well made, and it's so fun, and it's so compelling to watch. And the craft and the skill and the execution is so good. I just couldn't help but just love it and be entertained.
It's look, in terms of story structure, you said From Dusk Till Dawn, that's appropriate. I would say also Night of the Living Dead, in that you've got the people in this confined space, and there's a mob of monsters outside, and you're in this place where you're like, you sort of like, who am I, in this situation?
Right. Sure.
It's a great, what would you do movie. Like there's the the one lady who's basically the monsters. We want to get into spoilers. Let's get into spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I'll say real quick, I think this is very, very important. There's a mid-credits sequence.
Oh yeah.
And it's huge.
You must stay.
I saw people leave. Well, I knew there was a mid-credits and
I did not.
Post-credits. Oh, really? Okay. So, and there's also one after the credits.
See, that I did not know. There's a post-credit?
Yes. And so I was watching people walk out.
Okay.
And I didn't know what the middle was. But I was like, oh, that's too bad. They're going to miss it. The middle, all right, I already liked the movie a lot.
Yeah.
The middle, I think, made me love it.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, no, you didn't see the middle?
I saw the middle. I didn't see the middle. Post, like at the very end.
I thought well, I mean, it's not like it changes the film, but it's just a perfect like epilogue. I really loved that middle moment, credits moment.
See, now you got to tell me about the post, because I didn't see.
Well, I'll spoil it here. Just I won't spoil the middle one because that's part of the story. The post credits is seeing the boy in the church with the guitar playing This Little Light of Mine.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's just like a nice moment. And it's funny because it was literally me, my friend Bushra, and this woman by herself next to us. And we were the only ones left for that moment.
How funny.
And then the lights came up and the woman turned to us and she's like, well, I'm glad at least we stayed for that. I was like, me too. So I think it's worth it because it's fun. But yeah, I feel bad for the people that missed the middle credits moment because I thought it was really
sort of essential. Yeah.
I think so too. So yeah. All right. Let's get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
So, the bit here is we got all these vampires, and we'll circle back to the plot, but they got a vampire. Basically, they can't come into this place unless they're invited in.
Yes, which, I mean, that's like vampire lore, right? But it was
vampire lore.
Fun watching it.
So you get that one lady.
Know.
I didn't know anything about it. Yeah.
Amazing. And so you see this person like, hey, can we come inside?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I was connecting the dots because the first time we see the bad guy is his skin is burning because of the sun,
true.
Right. So, but it wasn't. I'm not like, oh, okay, it's vampires. It took me. Once oh shoot, what's her name? What was her name? Annie. She says that they're vampires, right? And then at that point,
oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
But regardless, no, you have the Asian woman who's pissed off because her husband has become a vampire, and she's like, "Come and get us," or something like that. And everybody's like, "Shut the hell up!"
Yeah, I know.
I was like, it would just be my luck to be stuck in a place in some big mouth like that.
Right before we've reached a consensus about how to deal with it.
He's trying to cover her mouth, and she like bites his hand and stuff.
That's right. I loved all that playing with the vampire conventions.
Though. It was great. It was great.
Yeah. And then, by the way, so you're talking about the moment where he's burning and he runs up to that house and he's being chased by Comanche police or whoever. And that moment's in the trailer, and it's kind of an interesting shot because you see him seemingly land into frame. And then the camera follows him as he stumbles toward the house. I was just like, oh, that's a cool looking shot. I don't get it. And then when you watch the movie and you think about it later, you're like, oh, he was flying. Like he was flying away from the police.
Funny.
And then funny. But they tease it where it's weird enough that you're like, huh? But then you just ignore it. But then when you know what's happening later and you see him flying, you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
No, the thought I had was like the movie ends, or rather, the vampire story comes to something of a resolution, right? And Smoke tells Sammy like go home or whatever, right? And we say, oh, okay, so this is going to cycle back to the beginning of the movie when we see it, which I love the beginning where it sets up how it's going to end, but it's left vague enough where you have no idea what's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
But then we get righteous vengeance.
Yes, totally. We get almost like the end of Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, man.
Talk about see a theater full of murderous monsters just taken out.
You talk about like I just love how they just added that on. Like it was a big picture. You don't need that for the movie to be satisfying. It's like no, we want to see some Klansmen just shot to pieces.
Yep.
And man, I was like that right there. That made the whole experience worth it.
Yeah. I mean, this movie has everything. Like it really does. You get sort of like cool, rural gangster period. First hour. Like I mean, just even that moment where shoot, I don't remember which one's which. Michael B. Jordan. It's basically, his truck. He's talking with that young girl and saying, if there's any trouble, honk this horn. And
right.
he's like, I'll pay you 10 cents. But then when she accepts, he's like, no, you don't settle for 10 cents.
So that was Smoke.
Love that moment. Just him teaching her, like, know your value.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And then it's like these guys are like trying to steal stuff out of the back, and when they realize who it is, they apologize. But then he shoots the guy in the leg anyway. Like, well, I need to keep up my rep. You got to walk away with a limp at least. Like, it's just like cool, weird, gangster film stuff, right?
Yeah.
Before you switch into like a vampire genre thing, and it's funny because then you have like a good horror film, like a good Tales from the Crypt episode. But on top of that, you also have this interesting layer where you can think about things like cultural assimilation, like the way the vampires become a hive mind is really interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Once you're bitten, all the vampires share everything that they know with one another. And at one point, the head vampire says to the people inside the juke joint, I want your songs. I want your stories. It's just like, it's just like, so it's just so, there's so much going on. And then, like you said, then there's the righteous vengeance ending, and then you get like this incredible epilogue with what happens with the blues kid, which maybe we can get to in a little bit, but like,
dude, the bit where I was like when Smoke gets shot at the end, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh man, like you're like, oh shoot, like I thought he was gonna get out of this,
Yeah.
And then he sits down, and and you're like, oh man, and then he looks over, he sees Annie, he sees his baby,
yes,
and you're like, oh okay, no, then it's okay,
yes.
And it's like, well, this is it's the movie manipulating us, but in like the best way,
It was so well. I loved how it had its cake and ate it too, because he's about to shoot the KKK like Grand Wizard or whatever.
Yep.
But then he looks, but he's himself is wounded. But he looks over, sees his lady and their baby that had passed away. And there was a little part of me that was like, oh, I wanted him to take that guy out, but like, okay, this is nice. He's crossing over. But then literally he like goes back to reality, wastes the guy, and then throws his gun down and then looks back like, okay, back to this. Back to heaven. I saw this funny thing on Reddit, by the way, where it said says I'm sorry, I don't have the person's name, but it says Smoke got shed into the deal between the twins. His kid died, had to kill the love of his life. Meanwhile, Stack gets to spend eternity with Ailey Stanfield as a Bonnie and Clyde vampire couple. I was like, yeah, that does kind of. Well, hopefully he's in heaven right now with his woman and kid.
Well, so you said that the mid-credit scene, which reveals that Stack survived along with Mary, that made you love it.
So well, the thing that I really loved about it was seeing. So there's this dilemma with I'm sorry, what's his name? The kid, the musician kid,
Sammy,
yes, excellent. By the way, he's excellent actor, really excellent performer, singer, incredible. So anyway, he has this preacher father who thinks that like music is evil, right? And he chooses music, and then he gets put through this harrowing adventure. And at the end of the movie, the main vampire, claws his face, and he gets these scars, really prominent cuts on his face, right? And at the end, he kind of has to choose, like, well, do I stick with my creativity, or do I follow sort of the strictures that my dad are setting up for me? And we see him, drive away in the car, still clinging to this busted guitar, which is a good enough ending, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But then we get this mid-credit sequence where we see a blues man played by Buddy Guy, which is really cool. Playing in modern day, or no, it's the 90s. Sorry, it's like 1992. Playing at a club, and he kind of turns his face, and we see 4 huge scars, claw mark scars on his face. And I was like, love this, love this. Like, he stuck with it. He did his thing, his passion. That was enough for me. I was like, oh, that's a fun little tag. But
exactly.
Then when you see Smoke and Mary come in,
Stack. God damn it, Brian.
I'm so sorry. Red. You know what I need to do is like red hat, blue hat. It's kind of how they're differentiated. But he comes in with Mary, and they're still alive. They're still vampires. They're wearing these 90s clothes.
Yeah. Because it's 1992.
1992. Yeah. And just going in there, and there's this like incredible moment where Stack like sniffs him, and he's like, oh, you don't have a lot of time left. I was like, this is, I don't know if sci-fi is the right word, but it just like all the things I love, just sort of like heightened reality kind of storytelling. But it's sweet in a weird sort of dark way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just put it over the top. I'm like, you didn't even have to have that, but I just absolutely loved seeing that moment all these years later.
It's funny because we don't see Smoke kill him, and I had that initial thought. I was like, we didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting him to come back during like the body of the story, so I just forgot about it. And then it's like, oh, duh.
Right.
So that's why I was like really glad I did hang out through the credit scene, you know. And I love that he's like, Smoke made me promise to leave you alone.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And he kept his word, you know.
Yes. The brothers, and then the whole thing too with the ending where he couldn't roll the cigarette, and his brother, he always was asking his brother for the cigarette. Like I'm feeling like a little choked up thinking about it right now. Like that's the thing, man. Like it is this splattery horror movie, but the characters are so rich.
Right.
It's a good story. Period.
Yeah.
You know. And then you also get all this fun playing with like I was saying with the vampire stuff. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place now.
No,
but
please.
like
It's all good.
When the Sammy takes out the lead vampire with the guitar made of metal, and it's like burning through his head. I was like, brilliant. I mean, it was just set up from the beginning, that guitar.
Yep.
I loved all that stuff. And then all the, again, with the vampire conventions, the whole, all right, well, one of us might be a vampire, so we all have to eat this garlic in a circle. And, the girl refusing it. And they're like, just pointing a gun at her, do it. And using the
Lindo, by the way.
Lindo
was great in this.
I always love seeing Delroy Lindo. Yeah.
Right. Anytime he gets to really rip, you know.
Well, and that gets into the patience of I don't even know. I haven't thought about it in terms of acts, but it almost feels like 2 acts in a way.
Yeah.
And the introduction of him, being sort of this alcoholic musician, just playing his harmonica, but the way that they bring him in, and there's clearly a history there and an understanding, and they know how to lure him in. And, first he doesn't want to hear the kid play the guitar, but then we see them playing together happily. And I don't know, you know what I mean? Like that stuff I'm glad the movie allowed for all of those moments in their entirety. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm kind of just going and going.
No.
If there's anything else you want to talk about?
During that mid-credit scene when old Sammy talks about how, like, before everything went to shit, like, do you think about that day?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how Stack is like, yeah, it's the last time I saw my brother. It's the last time I saw daylight.
The sun. Yes.
You know.
Yeah. It was like his last great day or whatever. He says it. Oh, so poignant and beautiful. Yeah. I can't believe it's tucked into the credits.
Yeah. It's almost like at this point we have been conditioned to stick around through the credits. And so Ryan Coogler is sort of relying on people's muscle memory to take over.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's worth it in this regard, you know?
Yeah. Well, and he also does that. He guides you there a little bit because he's showing clips of Buddy Guy playing.
That's right. Yeah.
As the first credits start. And also, I mean, I've brought it up a lot, but I highly recommend this app called After Credits. I mean, every movie, when the credits begin, I open up that app and it tells you if there is something during the middle or the very end.
Yeah. See, that's what I should have checked that.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, big fans of Sinners, again, or as I call it, don't trust the whites. That is my firm takeaway from this movie.
Well, that reminds me, by the way, like I really did enjoy I don't know a ton about vampire stories, but like there was something kind of, I don't know, like uneasy but interesting and captivating about once they did turn into vampires, and they're all out there singing together,
right? Kind
of coexisting. They're this hive mind. They now know what everyone else among them knows, and that's when that Irish song happens, right?
They do the jig, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we haven't talked about the best part of the entire movie. When Sammy starts playing.
Yeah.
And they're saying some musicians are so powerful that when they play, like the ghosts of musicians past and the people of musicians future all exist on the same plane. And so Sammy starts playing this song, and everyone in the juke joint just is like so into it. And then the camera kind of, moves over, and you see this like funkadelic looking guy, with a guitar who looks completely out of place in the 1930s. And then you like move over again, and you see like, tribesmen playing on like percussion instruments. And then you see like, these Asian dancers, and it just, all of music existing at once in this barn. And then literally, the roof is on fire. Like literally that happens. The roof is on fire. The building burns down. Yet these people, like they don't even see it. The music's too powerful. They're just existing together in this incredible moment. I was like, this is the scene of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was
well, and it's just the Coogler expects you to understand what's happening.
Yes.
It's not commented on. It's just part of the craft,
Yeah, and in a lesser capable filmmaker's hands, that could be kind of goofy, right? But like instead, like the combination of the music that's being played, the way that it is revealed, it feels very powerful and poignant, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, if you need any sort of calling card of the display of power that Coogler, possesses filmically, like go no further than that scene.
I should mention Jack O'Connell as the lead vampire.
Yeah, he's great.
That is creepy as hell. And I was actually surprised that Haley Steinfeld sort of exits the group relatively quickly,
Wait, because you mean before she's turned, or you mean once she's turned?
Before she's turned, that because she's like second build after Michael B. Jordan,
Right.
Because it feels like she doesn't get as much to do once she becomes part of the Horde,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That all being said, when she goes out there, they're singing the song Wild Mountain Time, which I love. I love that song. And I'm like, well, God damn it. Now it's like creepy and weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to have that association now,
That's really funny. But I did like it's kind of interesting. And then you see the poor guy, the bouncer, and he becomes like a part of them. And that was the other thing too. Like, well, he's just out trying to take a piss, right? And then he gets, and then that whole prolonged scene of him trying to get inside.
Yeah.
And then, they're not, some of them aren't convinced.
Well, no, that was a different guy.
Well, no. He was turned. I mean, he was a vampire, and he's trying to
when he's trying to get, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that was like a fun,
because there's the one guy who they accidentally took out.
Yes, then I was gonna. Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed that prolonged, knowing he's a vampire. They're not certain, but just the way. Yeah, he's trying. Come on. Let me.
Come on. Can I come in? Come on.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's at least you got to pay me, right? So why don't you hand me over the money? All that stuff.
Man.
But then, so after we've had that moment, yes, then we have the guy who is not a vampire who just wants to be let the hell in.
Yeah.
But you can't. He's like, let me in, and it's like, well, I mean, are we gonna let anybody in at this point?
I know.
Probably not. Yeah.
Good stuff. I mean, it's one of those things where I want to watch it again now, knowing what I know, so that I can sort of track all the little tells and whatever,
Yeah. So, hey, I'm so glad to be like, isn't that funny, dude? I mean, we are like not horror guys.
Not at all. I was actually thinking about that yesterday. I was like, by the time of the climax, I was like, this is probably about the limit for both of us in terms of what we're okay with horror wise, gore wise.
I would say that, and I think for me it also has a lot to do with the story.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if it's a worthy story and there's characters that I can really give, like, I just don't like the whole thing where people are just picked off and the quote unquote fun is watching people begging for their lives before they're killed spectacularly. I don't.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It just makes me feel bad. And like this, though, was a really interesting story. And there's a lot of like tragedy that happens.
That's right.
But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of emotion and payoff and, pathos at the end, like we were saying, my brother said to let you live, and, talking about their last best days, and just, that's just a good story, regardless of genre.
I agree. Yeah. So 2 big thumbs up for Sinners.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, let us know your thoughts. What did you think of the movie? What did you think of what we had to say? You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. We also have a Patreon page, Brian.
Yes, we do. If you head over dude, I always do that. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe for only $5 a month, you'll find every commentary we've ever done and every episode moving forward absolutely ad-free. So it's a way that helps make producing the show sustainable. It helps support us. And we hope it offers the most pleasant way to listen to the show without any ads or interruptions. So if you're interested and able, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe.
There you go. And as always, if you like what we're doing, please go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps, and we do appreciate that very, very much. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on social media at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. I'm also at the San Francisco Chronicle and at IGN and The Wrap. Brian, you got anything you want to promote?
Yeah, well, we talked earlier about Young Jedi Adventures, and I've written for seasons 1 and 2, and season 2 just had new episodes drop about a month ago on Disney Plus. So if you've seen it and enjoyed it, or hopefully if your kids have seen the show and enjoyed it, there are more adventures for them to watch now. So head over and watch Young Jedi Adventures on Disney Plus.
There you go. And with that, on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zachy Hassan. This has been Movie Film 315. We'll catch you next time when we talk about Thunderbolts. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.